Just like the brave 300 at Thermopylae, like Caesar's invincible 10th Legion, the Phoenix King's elite bodyguard, the White Lions of Chrace, are a storied and heroic force, but in Total War, they're kind of average. Hey, hi, I'm Most of the Mad, and now it is my mission in life to just wring every ounce of joy that I can out of this game. I've been trying and failing to create the ultimate white line Doomstack ever since Warhammer 2 came out. This time, I'm going to use every exploit and bug I know to make it happen, and then I'm going to send it to LegendofTotalWar to rate my Doomstack. Why have I got a longsword sheathed on my back? Well, it's actually sheathed on my battle throne, so just a regular battle throne man. Today we've got a video about how to make a Doomstack out of any high elf unit. Always wanted to make a Doomstack out of silver Helms, Ellyrian Reaver archers, high elf spearmen, whatever. I got you covered. This video will show you how to turn anything into a Doomstack. We'll get to the technical aspects of how to actually create the Doomstack a bit later. First thing you've got to do is choose your unit. Legends seed all kinds of Doomstacks. All the, most powerful, obvious units, the Mammoths, the Sisters of Avelorn, the Knights of Torgobal, that stuff's already been done. You gotta pick something that Legend hasn't seen before. He might give you some bonus points for originality. For me, the choice of unit was easy. The mightiest of all high elf warriors, the White Lions. Legend has done a White Lion Doomstack video before, but it was sort of a joke stack that he created himself, so this should still count as the first real White Lion Doomstack. Now, Legend has previously said that because melee are terrible, the White Lions will probably get a 5 out of 10 at best, so hopefully we can surprise him. LegendofTotalWar is a really busy guy. He probably gets hundreds of emails with rate my Doomstacks, so just to save him a bit of time, I'm actually going to include my own suggested ratings for him, just to help him out a bit. First up, White Lions are a famously terrible unit that pretty much everybody hates, so that's definitely one bonus point for originality. Next, we're going to talk about pimpness. You don't need to create a Doomstack to win as the High Elves. At the character selection screen, when you choose a High Elf Legendary Lord, that's it. You basically won the campaign. They're the most powerful race in the game. So you're not really aiming to win the game with your Doomstack, you're aiming to show your dominance. And that's where the Pimp Stack comes in. Your foes are already used to being dominated by Sisters of Avelorn spam stacks and Dragon spam stacks, but if you really want to assert your dominance over the inferior races of the Warhammer world, nothing says I'm better than you than beating them with a Pimp Stack made out of White Lions. Step 1 for creating the ultimate White Lion Pimp Stack is to start with the legendary lord Imrik of Caledor. You can't have Imrik leading your army, you need Alastar the White Lion, obviously. So you got to Confederate Tyrion's faction. So first thing to do is to migrate from the plains of Bone Ghanistan back over to Ulthuan. I'll put a link in the description below to a video that shows you exactly how to migrate to Ulthuan in only 5 turns. Next, you want to rush Tyrannok. You might want to keep either White Peak or Torth Sathai as sack cities. That way you can use those to power level your lords and heroes. So just sack it, don't occupy it, then continue on to Tyrannok. There's a gold mine there. That'll give you the income and the sort of base to launch your conquest of the rest of Ulthuan. I'll put a link down below to a guide that specifically covers how to beat Tyrion into Confederation, but explain basically how this sort of bash Confederation method works is you declare war on Tyrion as soon as you feel comfortable to do so, and then attack and take all of his settlements one by one, leaving only one settlement remaining. Destroy all of his armies and put his last settlement under siege, but don't occupy it. If you followed the Caledor Confederation guide, you should have a little bit of influence at this point. A bit later on, I'll show you how to have a lot more influence. Use that influence in Intrigue at Court to buff your relations with Tyrion. There's a heavy Confederation penalty from declaring war, but 10 turns after you initially declared war on Tyrion, that penalty should be gone and he should be willing to take peace and Confederation with you in the same turn. I recommend that's the way to start, and then I would go on to confederate all of the other factions on Ulthuan, as with their extra growth bonuses, it's kind of just easier to let them level up their cities for you and then just confederate them. Now we've got Alastar ready to lead once we finish building our White Lion Pimp Stack. Now the White Lion's basic stat line is not that impressive, so we're going to need a lot of buffs. Alastar has the normal red line buffs to buff the White Lions, but he also has some unique yellow line buffs specific only to him that'll further buff the White Lions. Although Alastar and his White Lions fight exclusively on foot, like the Roman legions of old, I have taken a point in Star Dragon just so that technically you'll have a siege attacker option. Take all of the relevant technologies to buff your White Lions. You'll also need to collect all of the unique buffs that Imrik gets from completing his dragon battle quests. Starting from turn 11, every 20 turns, there'll be a dragon sighting event, and you'll be offered a series of options. Your army may not be strong enough to defeat the first dragon that appears on turn 11, so you'll have to choose either bargain with the dragon, which will give you plus 70 influence at the cost of 2,000 gold, or consult with the dragon, which will give you the dragon's buff, but only for 10 turns. Plus 20 armor piercing damage essentially doubles the armor piercing damage of the White Lion, so it's an amazing buff, but we need it for longer than 10 turns. But we need to use the Gotrek exploit to trigger this quest over and over again, so we can extend the duration of that buff indefinitely. If you aren't strong enough to take on the dragon battle at turn 10, that's fine. Just wait for the one that pops around turn 30. As long as there's a pop-up message in the top right here that hasn't been clicked away yet, this quest will not be able to resolve. So you can trigger the quest by moving a lord onto the blue circle as many times as you like. As long as you don't get rid of that message in the top right, it'll keep triggering the quest over and over again without resolving it. You can tell every time the quest triggers because the movement area will change from yellow to grey. Heroes can't trigger the quest, only lords, but you can use heroes to set up the movement bug to save your lord's movement. And also, if you set them up just right, you can actually get it so that the Lord will trigger the quest moving into the circle and moving out of the circle. So you get double the amount of triggers. Using these methods with 3 Lords, you should be able to trigger the quest maybe 30 or 50 times. When you've resolved every last bit of movement for your 3 Lords, tick the message boxes in the top right hand corner to get rid of them, and then the quest will actually resolve. To start with, I like to choose Challenge the Dragon 15 times. When you defeat the dragon, it gives you the dragon buff, but for 20 turns. So if you click this 15 times, it'll give you the buff for 300 turns, which should be more than enough for any campaign. Once you've done Challenge the Dragon 15 times, then I'll choose Bargain with the Dragon to buy as much influence as you can. It costs 2,000 gold per click. And then once you've run out of money, you can just keep clicking on Challenge the Dragon until you run out of clicks and the interface closes. Now the dragon quest battle will appear. Don't click on teleport to go to the battle yet. Just click the tick at the bottom to accept the quest. And then click it again and again, and just keep clicking it until you accept all the quests. I'm not going to go in depth here about how to fight each of the dragon battles, but suffice to say, once you've done this, you'll have, 30 or 40 instances of the dragon quest. However, you only have to fight the battle once, and that'll resolve all of those quests at once, and it'll give you the dragon buff 20 turns multiplied by the amount of times that you had triggered the quest. You'll encounter 5 legendary dragons, and each one of them gives our White Lions another buff. 20 armor piercing damage, 15% physical resist and vigor loss reduction, immunity to all attrition and cause fear, 40% magical resistance, immunity to psychology, fire damage and additional speed. After the 5 named dragons, the dragon sightings will continue to spawn, but they'll just be generic dragons. The generic dragon quests operate a little bit differently. You'll still be able to trigger them as many times as you like, as long as you leave some unresolved messages up in the top right corner. As soon as you resolve the message, it will give you the dilemma to choose the battle, and then you'll have to actually fight the battle over and over for each activation rather than just fighting it once and getting multiple quests complete. However, armies that are very close by, like just on the edge of the blue circle, will reinforce, so you can just auto resolve over and over if you have like 2 or 3 powerful stacks. Note, this is the same with sea treasures. If you have a 2nd or 3rd army very close by, like on the edge of the blue circle, they will reinforce in sea treasure battles. I only did 2 generic dragons just to get some more AP damage and physical resist. Our White Lions are now super buffed with everything from the tech tree, everything from the generals tree, plus all of the Imrik dragon buffs, but we still need a lot more defense and maybe a little bit more offense. But before I get into that, we need to talk a little bit more about pimpness, specifically about bling. That's right, if we're going to make this the pimpest White Lion stack ever, we're going to need a lot more bling, a lot more items. We want to get as many best in slot as we can, including a lot of purple items. Most purple items can only be equipped by legendary lords. However, Imrik's dragon quest reward items can be equipped by other characters. And even better than that, you can dupe them. The Moon Touch Spear, which is the item reward from this dragon quest, would normally replace Imrik's weapon slot after the battle is completed. However, there's a bug that if you actually empty his weapon slot beforehand, so there's nothing for it to replace, it will put the Moontouch Spear into Imrik's inventory, but it will also put another Moontouch Spear into your unequipped inventory. So you'll get 2 items instead of 1. The next pimpest items you can get after purples are crafted items. You'll mostly get crafted items from the Greater Invocation of Vol. You should do this every time it's off cooldown, and the top priority item that you're looking for is the Diamond Guardian Phoenix. Plus 12% physical resistance map wide, so every unit in your army gets this, and I consider this a must-have for this build and one of the most desirable items in the game. In a long game that's 120, 140 turns long, you'll get to do the Invocation of Vol a number of times, and each time you're offered the choice of 4 items, so there's a pretty good chance that you'll get the Diamond Guardian Phoenix at some point. I think I actually got it offered first time in this campaign, but full disclosure, I did save scum to get other items later in the game, and I was fully prepared to save scum to get the Diamond Guardian Phoenix. Though my White Lions didn't really need the stats at this point, just in order to maximize the pimpness, I've gotten all of the Lord killing traits that buff units. At this point, the White Lion stat line is looking pretty good, but they're still lacking in resistances. We can fix this problem by adding Handmaiden heroes with the resistant trait. That'll give them +5 melee defense, +5 missile resistance, and +5 magic resistance per Handmaiden. The resistance breakpoint I wanted to reach was 90% physical missile resist. With the Diamond Guardian Phoenix, you only need 4 resistant Handmaidens to reach that breakpoint. Handmaidens are recruited from the Grove chain of buildings, but you need the tier 4 building. I think it's pretty reasonable to expect that you'll be able to farm 4 resistant Handmaidens over the course of a longish campaign, but full disclosure, I saved scum so I could get 7 of them just to get more melee defense. Next, we get 4 nobles with the crushing trait. That brings their damage up to a very respectable 88 total weapon strength and 58 charge bonus. Now, there was only room for 6 units of White Lions by the time we added all the heroes that we needed to buff them. But those 6 units are absolute monsters. The most elite infantry units ever to walk the earth of Warhammer 2. Now, if you want to do the same thing, but with a different unit, even without all the extra heroes in the stack, every single unit in your faction will get +40 armor piercing damage in melee, +60% armor piercing range damage, 30% physical resistance, up to 80% magical resist, immunity psychology, causes fear, immunity to attrition. Sisters of Avelorn will end up with 48 or more range damage. Dragon Princes will be ridiculous with these buffs. Even your basic Spearmen will get +40 armor piercing damage. So if you've got a favorite high elf unit that you always wanted to do a themed campaign with, if this guide doesn't make that unit viable, I don't know what will. Now it's time to email my save files to LegendofTotalWar so he can test my White Lions in battle. Just in case Legend doesn't fully appreciate the chadness of the White Lion Doomstack, I'll include this pretty comprehensive chart. Of course, a good Doomstack needs a great role-playing theme, so I'll include for Legend here my force organization chart with the individually Roman-themed names for each of the officers and units, and I'll just include some instructions for using the Doomstack as well. Even though Legend's got over 8,000 hours of experience with the game and is intimately familiar with every unit and item in this build, can't hurt. Obviously, this build will score a 10 out of 10 for its unrivaled combat ability, so that brings us up to a total of 16 out of 10. Obviously, I don't know exactly how Legend calculates his ratings, and this is just a suggested rating, but I'm pretty confident on my numbers. Look out for Legend's video where we'll see how the Lions perform under fire and we'll get our official rating.